Hey everybody, it's Jasmine, your brow expert. Thank you so much for joining me. So just a quick little history about me. Some of you are new, and so you need to know that I have been a brow expert for, gosh, almost about 25 years now. I've been shaping eyebrows at the Anastasia Beverly Hills salon, and I still shape brows there. So if you're ever in the neighborhood and you want your best brow, you need to come in, make your appointment. And some of you have, and it's been a joy and pleasure meeting some of you and shaping your best brow and giving you some tips along the way. So definitely make that an appointment if you are around there. So as I've said, I've been shaping eyebrows for 25 years, and this page is all about shaping. I do go into colors every once in a while, and obviously, how do you apply the color on your eyebrows where it doesn't look too unnatural, right? So I'm also here to help you with that, but keep in mind, I not only use a brow model that you will be seeing in just a minute, but I use myself mainly so that you can see how I hold the brow products. That is a tip in and itself. So also I do print all the products that I use on the screen and do tag the products. So if you want to purchase them, please just tap the screen and the product should come up. And some of the colors are not exactly maybe that you're wanting to purchase on the tag product, so which is why I write them on the screen. So all that is covered, and just know that all of them are by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I want you to be able to use some of these products and take advantage of it. I mean, we are nearing all the holidays. It's almost Christmas, and so definitely take advantage of buying some of these products. The best products, in my opinion, that are great for the sales of this year, the end of this year, are cosmetics, because we're not making, or they're not making new types of products just for the sale, right? Let's just make lesser types of products so that we can mark down their products. It's not like that with cosmetics, and with especially Anastasia products, you want to take advantage of all her existing products that she sells at regular retail price for a discounted price. So this is the best time to take advantage of it. Tap the screen, write it down of the products that you think it would be useful for you. As you can see, as I've been talking to you, I have very circular round eyebrows. Now, I say I use myself as a model, and be very careful with that, because my brows are tattooed. It's been tattooed many, many years ago. I do have a video on the pros and cons of brow tattooing. So if you scroll down, you can take a look at that. So I go more into detail on my experience with the brow tattooing and what I think you should look out for. So this is why that my brows usually come out dark and probably not as natural as I would do on myself, because the most important thing I want to come across and show you guys is the shaping, because I believe that that is the hardest thing to get down. I mean, I think some of you guys would agree with that, right? And so with the model that I show you, that right there, you can see more of that natural look, at least with most of the models. Some of you guys might disagree, and some of you have. So definitely give me a like, subscribe. This helps me and shows me that I'm doing the right thing, and also just helps me to create more content. So that really helps. My eyebrows are very curved, and the model I'm going to show you is Asian like myself, and the best brow for her is a straighter look. It's all about balance, and so trust me on that, it does look better. So you will see on the model, which I will show you in just a second. So are you guys ready? So like I said, she's got very thin circular eyebrows, and a lot of space on her eyelid. You're going to see me using quite a few different products, and I have reasons for that. And so the circular look, there's a lot of space underneath that curve right there, right in that middle area. a lot of times, see how that straight line, that's where underneath, I drew that straight line or showed you that straight line to show you that underneath those little pieces of hair, I'm actually gonna wax that off because it's just too, it has a hook, right? And it's too low up in the front. So she actually has too much hair on the front lower area and not enough in the middle bottom area. So by taking some of that out, it'll create an illusion that it's not so hooked in. So that's also very important. Now, this one, the outline is more in the angular. Now, that is where we're gonna do. What's gonna be more realistic and natural is this, it's still straight, but more in that angular. And that is where I'm gonna focus on her and on myself. And that is what I want you to focus on if you have that kind of really deep round and you want to, I don't know, you got some holiday parties to go to and you need something that's a little bit more dressier, balances with your face. This is the time to do it, right? So now the brows are waxed. There's no color on it yet. So it's still thin, right? But the front is not so hooked in. That's something I want you to keep in mind. So I'm using the brow pomade because it's a waterproof, it lasts all day, and she's got more skin than hair underneath. So this is gonna help stay on much better. Okay, so I'm gonna use two different types of angle brushes. You always wanna use one for the pomade. Now you notice that I grabbed a generous amount. So I'm just scooping it up. Now, some of you guys might say, I use this, but it gets really dry. Now, I use the back of my hand because when I use the back of my hand, the warmth of it will break it down. And notice how I'm going back and forth. Notice I'm going back and forth here as well. So that way the brush stays nice and sharp. You never want to go head on because then it just sprays out the hair. So look at that, it's nice and sharp. Now, some of you might say, I don't want to use the back of my hand, or it's still dry. Well, the Anastasia Beverly Hills does have a product called the hydrating oil. This is an excellent product because a couple of drops in the pot and leave it overnight, even a couple of hours before you use it. It breaks it down. It's oily, but it doesn't stay oily. It's a very beautiful velvety texture. And you know what? That's great for your hands, face. It's just a great hydrating oil. Now I'm using a tissue on this. If it gets really clumpy around the brush, then definitely use your hand or a tissue. It gets off all the excess and still keeps the brush sharp. Notice that I went in that angle, that similar white outline, and I went right underneath that line right over here. So I'm going to do mine. And you want to stay close to that curve. You don't want to go too straight. You don't want that much space, but there is going to be space in there. Now, notice that I'm just applying very light pressure. Okay. You don't need to press hard. If you do that, you don't get that sharp application, and it's going right in that pocket right over here. See that? Now for me, it's much thicker, but on her, it's a little bit more realistic. But I'm doing this so that you guys can see that gap. Okay, so now I'm doing the other side. Notice that I'm moving the hair around. I don't have much hair, but hers, she's got that thick hair right here. So I'm moving her out so that way I know how much of that area that I'm gonna apply. Now, keep in mind, both sides are not symmetrically perfect. You guys already know that one side's a little different than the other. So there might be the gap might be a little different. That's okay, you can always correct that later, but just go with it because we're not symmetrical. At least I'm not. Okay, I don't know about some of you guys, but so I'm using my left hand so that I don't do this over my face so you guys can see what I'm doing. So excuse me if it's not perfect because I am not left-handed. Okay, so there's that both line. I'll fix that later. Okay, so now this is where it gets easy, right? You're filling it in. I'm filling it in for her. And up in the front, see, now I'm angling the brush diagonal just to kind of create these little hair-like stroke lines. This is optional, guys. You don't have to do this. I like to just sometimes draw these little lines in an angle and just kind of create those kind of faux hair strokes. So I'm just kind of filling it inside here. Now notice I'm laying the brush. Again, it's light pressure, but it's very easy now because I'm just filling in that gap. That's all you have to do. And then right up in the front, I angle the brush in an angle, not head on, but in an angle. And then I just kind of go in an angle this way and draw these little lines, kind of like pretending you draw a line on a piece of paper and it's not going to be perfect, but you know what? It doesn't get so solid up in the front. So even though you don't see those crispy lines, you know that you're not putting the color on that heavy. And remember, she had enough hair up in the front to where it didn't have to be so solid as you're doing it down below here. So that's really important. Keep that in mind. I'm going to grab a little bit more dip brow for me because I didn't grab as much as I thought I did. On her, I grabbed enough because you always want a little bit more than not enough, right? So, and again, if it's getting too dry, you just go back and then warm it up with your hand. Okay, so here, you know, up in the front, I went slightly below just to kind of create more of an edge, but a lot of the color is off from the brush. So that way I can go in the front without worrying about it being too heavy. At the top, I always do the top. Here I have a little bit of tattoo on there, but I'm going to just show you that I'm doing the top right over here, just so that it stays a little full, okay? Now, if you guys do the top, you always create a fuller eyebrow. You want to use all the real estate in your eyebrows, right? So that's really important. So the top is very, very important to just add a little bit of color. You don't have to do that much, but you could already see the fullness of that eyebrow. Just even doing the top, it just gives it more of a polished look, I think. You guys notice that it's already looking good compared to the other side. I haven't even done the other side yet, but just staying in here. Now, if you get a little messy down here, that's okay. Don't worry about it, okay? Because we can always clean that up later. The spoolie brush is really important because the spoolie brush blends it a little bit more. So if you get a little clumpy area in parts of your eyebrows, now with the spoolie brush, I don't press that hard. It's very, very light, okay? Not too hard. Now the products, again, if you tap the screen, the products will come up so you can purchase that that way. And again, so I'm just going back and forth and seeing any of the gaps that I have, and I'm just going back and forth. Pretty simple, right? Because you're staying in that first outline that you made inside that area with a light pressure. That's really important. Okay, so now I'm going on the other side. Again, I'm moving the hairs around because I really want to get that product inside. And again, even here, obviously, you want to comb the brush hair down because you want to do the top, right? The top area. When I say the top, I mean that those hairs are growing down, right? If you use all that area and put color on there, it just gets fuller without looking over exaggerated. That's the other reason why I like to do the top, because you're still using some of your hair, you're just making it fuller, whiter. Okay, so underneath, again, I'm just going to use the right hand. Right here, I'm just going straight across, not much. See that angle? Right over here, and then I'm going down a tiny bit, down because you want to still complete that brow end right here. And then I'm just kind of tapping inside. Now, again, if you're heavy-handed and you're getting a little messy, don't think you have to start all over. We can always correct that, okay? So don't worry about that. Okay, so here up in the front, now my color, my eyebrows, you might be thinking, it looks a little different because I have that concealer. I made it really circular. And so that's why the color is going to come off really off. But on her, it's perfect. I'm using the ash brown, same color as I'm using on her is on me. So yeah, don't worry. Don't look at my color. Just look at the application. Okay, so right up in the front again, just hair strokes. I'm not going solid up in the front. I'm just scratching the brush up and down in an angle, just because a little bit of background is always important to have, especially when you're using a pomade like this with a light pressure. And the spoolie brush, of course, you want to comb and then you scratch and then you could comb. So you can go back and forth and just get enough color right there. So you notice that I'm on her as well, just combing with the spoolie brush. I'm being very careful not pressing too hard. Okay, that's just, if you press too hard, obviously you're gonna take off everything, but you press just lightly, it'll just kind of spread the color out without taking it off. Okay, so here again, this is important. You wanna do the top because you want it fuller, right? So I'm doing the top and I'm just, notice the brush is laying down. okay? It's not like this. It's laying down so I can get it in there, kind of like packing it in there, really, on me, because mine is so much more skin than anything, right? Okay, so there you go. Now it's nice and full, much fuller than what you saw me start off with, and on her as well. So just, I'm going back here and I'm making sure that I look at myself in a full length mirror. The symmetry is also important, right? But like I said, none of us have even eyebrows, and you never will unless you walk around stoic. Or you're not making any facial expressions, but there's a muscle on one side much stronger than the other. You guys know which one yours is. So that's the other reason. Once you start talking, it just becomes all uneven. So don't worry about trying to make it perfect, because if you do, that means you're just not going to talk or make facial expressions. So don't worry about that. You just want it as close as possible, right? Okay, so now here I'm showing you the dimensions. The front is right where it's supposed to be. It's right there, the pinch of the nose. When I say pinch, I mean right in here outside the nose bridge, right here, straight up and down into that 90 degree. That was perfect right there. So you know, and for her, it was kind of, it was already in the right spot. So make sure you measure that. And then that's the arch. See that pinch again over the pupil. I say closer to the iris. That is that arch up here. So mine's right at that, right where it's supposed to be. On her as well, it is, trust me, it's the angle of the camera. And I realized, okay, well, the camera, it's not as easy videoing and doing her eyebrows, but I'm getting better at it. So stay with me on that. But notice I'm lifting it up and then I'm showing you that's her arch. Now the end of her eyebrow is the side of the nose. It's not the pinch, it's the side of the nose, corner of the eye, it's just straight up. Now if you notice, the end is a tiny bit shorter, a smidgen. If not, it's just right on there. Especially on straighter eyebrows, you don't want that long end, because then you're just gonna drag the brow down. And if you feel like your brows are already too long or it's just dragging your eye down, try keeping it a little bit shorter. That will help giving you that lift. Now, I've chosen to use a powder on top of all this. You think you're done now, right? I've chosen to use powder because if some of you guys have used pomade and you feel like it's too dark or pasty or you want to tone it down, powders can actually do that. Now, the powder doesn't have the ability to stay on as long as a pomade, right? And you also want to use a different brush. You don't want to use the same brush for something creamy and wet to something powdery. So make sure you use that separately. And this is an angle 7B brush. Now I'm just going to use the light side of that two-sided color. Because again, you want to put some color on top just to set it in. And so you don't want to add on more color, right? So use that lighter side. And you always want to pick it up this way. Again, you never want to pick it up that way. Okay, so by doing this, if there are some gaps because it's streaking from the pomade, this can actually eliminate that. And again, it's just more on skin than hair, so it's going to look a little drawn in. I mean, for the simple fact that it's just makeup, right? So you can't get away from not making it look like there's makeup on there. But again, the shape is so important. And this is a great way to have a dressier look. So think of this as maybe a holiday party. And it's going to come out great on photographs. Trust me on that one. So if you just put a little bit of color, the powder, and pat it over mainly at that pomade area, you're really going to just have it more filling in the gaps in some areas, especially where the skin is, because that's, again, like I said, it could streak a little. So I put a little bit of powder on there, and then the spoolie brush is just toning everything down. And I always use a spoolie brush, again, with light pressure. It's so important. Now I'm using the highlighter. This is the best time to correct any mistakes. Now, if you're not as clean and polished and there's some pomade or powder falling down, this is a great way to just clean up anything. So you're going underneath and underneath here. And I'm using the brush 18 to just finish that last bit of perfection, which is not going to be perfect, but you know, it's going to just give that nice polished look. And so it really helps for anyone. I mean, anyone can use something like this, you guys. I don't care how professional or beginner you are. Anyone can just lay it down and clean up any mess and then go close. Now I'm laying the brush this way. Now on the top, it's so important. Reason being is, the top can also get a little messy, but if you have a little bit of cleaning up at the top, it just makes it polished. And again, think of this as more of a going out look or an everyday. Everybody's different, right? So you choose what's best for you, right? So I'm using the brush here and I'm just like, this is the time to make those adjustments. But yeah, so I'm just going in and around, and then of course the top, and then right over here, and just laying the brush just really helps. And also this helps in making your ends look really sharp. You could either use a brush or even your finger. Don't discount the finger, because I always use my pinky right here, just kind of going over the ends to make it nice and sharp. Very important. And the clear brow gel is also important because she, remember, had hair all the way at the top. So by applying some brow gel, it actually kicks the hair up a little bit, but most importantly, applies some fiber on there and keeps the product even on that much longer. Look at that before and after. That obviously is a big difference, right? From just the shape. Now, yeah, I mean, it looks like obviously she has makeup on, but you know what? To me, it doesn't look so overly over the top, right? And what I most importantly want to come across is that the shape fits her face. Okay, so that is what I want you to really take away with this, is that the shape is really important in making that balance look for the overall face. Now, after I had waxed her eyebrows, she can just get away with a little bit of tweezing underneath so that it doesn't look so hooky, like right over here up in the front. And she's okay with that. And she could wear that and not have to do all this, right? But by going through this routine, you can just cater to yourself. You don't have to go so dark. You don't have to put on that much. You don't have to go as low as I did. You can even go a little bit thinner on, if you have brows like that, really thin up here. You can just go a little bit thinner. The most important thing is that you apply the color underneath a little bit, just kind of thickens it up immediately. So I hope you got some tips from this eyebrow. And I hope you have a really good holiday, because it's going to be really amazing if you make it amazing, right? And so please subscribe. That's so important, not only for me, but this helps YouTube, know that, oh, she's valuable for some people out there. So that helps, and give me a like. And those comments definitely help to get me better at what I'm doing. So have a very Merry Christmas, and I will see you guys right back here.